Welcome back to another explainer. Now, we've all been there, right? You're standing over a sink that just absolutely refuses to drain, and you're kind of just staring at it, wondering, is this just a tiny hiccup, or am I looking at a massive plumbing disaster? Well, today we're going to take that whole plumbing panic and flip it into calm, calculated triage. We're going to learn a surprisingly simple, totally brilliant diagnostic framework for literally reading your drains. So here's our quick agenda for today. First, we'll hit the panic moment. Then do a symptom check for partial blockages, followed by complete blockages. After that, we'll run through some fast diagnostic tests, and finally, lock down the treatment plan. Let's jump right in. Seriously, have you ever noticed how plumbing issues literally only happen at the absolute worst possible times? Like right after cooking a massive holiday dinner, or taking a long shower, or, my personal favorite, right before you're about to jump into bed. It is so infuriating. But look, before you blindly grab that plunger or panic dial a super expensive plumber, just pause for a second. The secret to fixing it? It's actually right there staring back at you in the basin. And here's the core concept we really need to grasp. The difference between a slow drain, a partial obstruction, and a fully clogged drain, a complete blockage, well, it comes down entirely to how the water behaves. The water itself is literally trying to tell you what's going on deep down inside your pipes. It's almost like a built-in messaging system. All right, moving right along to step 1, symptom check for a partial blockage. So if the water does eventually disappear, but it's just taking way longer than usual, you've got a slow drain. The flow hasn't stopped completely yet, but you really need to pay attention to the other clues here. Do you hear a weird gurgling sound? Does the water level actually rise up slightly and then fall? Or honestly, worst of all, do you smell a bad odor? That smell? Yeah. That is trapped waste just sitting right there in the partial blockage. Gross, but super important to notice. Now, what's actually causing this? Well, these slow drains are usually caused by everyday culprits. We're talking grease, hair, thick soap buildup, and food debris. Now, a slow drain might just seem like a minor annoyance today, but listen, these materials act exactly like a net. They just sit there and catch more and more debris, tightening up over time until, boom, they become a much bigger problem. Okay, let's escalate things. Step 2, symptom check for a complete blockage. When a drain is fully clogged, the symptoms are stark, like unmistakable. The water just stands completely still. It absolutely does not recede. You might hear a really strong gurgling sound and then just dead silence. Or even worse, you start seeing backflow popping up into other shared fixtures. Yikes. Because this carries an immediate overflow risk, you've got to act way faster here than you would with just a slow drain. To put it simply, it's pretty much a binary situation. On the one hand, you've got a slow drain, a partial obstruction that's just moving slowly and building over time. On the other hand, you've got a fully clogged drain, a complete blockage where water stands totally still, bringing an immediate overflow risk. Figuring out exactly which side of this equation you're on dictates every single step you take next. Which brings us to step 3. The diagnostic tests. Let's put on our plumbing medic hats. Before you even think about treating the symptom, you've got to verify the exact location of the cause. First things first, check your other fixtures. If it's literally just one drain acting up, boom, the issue is highly localized. Next, run a tiny, and I mean tiny, water test. Do not blast the tap all the way. Just run a little and watch how it behaves. Notice a pattern? If its slow drain comes right back after you just cleared it, you've probably got a much deeper buildup. And finally, if a bunch of drains are all slowing down at the exact same time, you might actually have a mainline system problem on your hands. All right, we've got our diagnosis. Let's move to step 4, the treatment plan. Now it's time to match your diagnosis to the right action. Got visible debris right near the stopper? Easy. Start simple and just pull it out manually. Use your hands or some tweezers. Dealing with a slow drain? Try a fixture-specific plunger or maybe a drain snake to reach a little deeper. But if it is a full clog, the absolute first, most critical, do not ignore rule is this: stop adding water. Seriously, you can try plunging very gently, but if that water remains completely still, it is time to call in a pro. Now, I really want you to pay attention to this warning. When faced with a full clog, so many of us instinctively want to just grab a heavy chemical cleaner and pour it right down the drain. Please don't do it.
Chemical cleaners often just sit right on top of a complete blockage. Leaving a pool of highly caustic, burning chemicals sitting stagnant in your pipes doesn't just make repairs way more complicated, it literally creates a dangerous toxic hazard for whoever eventually has to dismantle those pipes.
So, when do you finally put down the plunger and call for backup? Seek further help if the blockage is super severe or spreading, if you've got backflow invading multiple fixtures, or if your tests point to a mainline problem. It is also absolutely crucial to call a pro for recurring clogs. If that same drain keeps failing over and over, you aren't just fighting a simple clog anymore, you're fighting a root cause. We're talking bad pipe joints or massive grease accumulations deep in the system. And trust me, fixing the root cause early on is exactly how you avoid those massive tear-inducing repair bills down the road. Ultimately, the difference between a minor annoyance and an absolute plumbing disaster comes down to one single, empowering question: is your water continuing to move? Test calmly, watch the flow, and match your response to the severity. As we've seen, your house is always trying to tell you what's going on right behind the walls. The real question is, are you fluent enough to listen to it?